The doctors of Reddit were asked, what made you say, how the fuck is this person still alive?
Before we start, make sure you smash the subscribe button along with the tiny bell icon so you get updated every time we post new videos. Done? Great, let's start this video.
Skizontastic says, an lucky guy forgot his keys and was climbing back into his own apartment through the window. His friend thought that he was an intruder and pointed a gun at him and pulled the trigger as the lucky guy opened his mouth to say, don't shoot. The bullet went into his mouth and clean exited the back of his neck. After surgery, he was totally fine in a few days, somehow missed all major structures. Didn't even chip a tooth. Really pissed at his cousin. From my neurosurgery rotation in med school, stay_FR0 Sty says, a guy the first know with cancer smokes 2 packs a day and drinks a fifth of Fireball every day. He lives in a trailer so dirty there is a half-inch of dirt according to his wife's mother. He recovered from surgeries in that trailer. Eventually we got word he was quitting chemo and was just going to accept death. 5 years ago he was given 2 months to live. He is now completely cancer-free, life is just weird sometimes. Daisy Rage 7 says, when I was in college, there was a kid that exited a freeway at near freeway speed. Problem was, it was a construction zone at night, no lights, and it wasn't supposed to be an open exit. Drove right into a pile of rebar. One of the poles went through the car into his face and pinned him to the seat through his head. A couple of years later, I was in grad school, in anatomy seminar, and the surgeon presented that kid's case as a study. Not only did he live, the rebar had slid right past the base of the brain, spinal column. It was so close, they had to twist it out like a screw because the ribbing on the bar threatened nerve damage. They literally rebuilt this kid's skull around his brain. His recovery photo was a totally normal kid smiling. He had a small scar on his chin. I say kid, but he was like 17, just to be clear. ICJP says, my resident called me urgently one night and said I needed to come to the hospital. A young man was cut in half by a train. I asked why I needed to come in, there was no way he could survive that. She explained that somehow he was maintaining his pressure and wasn't bleeding out. When I arrived, I found that the force of train had sealed off all the major vessels from the pelvis down. Potential regular guy says 2 that stick out, guy gets shot in the abdomen, drops to his knees, shooter puts one through the top of his head near his forehead. Bullet exits through his jaw. He wouldn't stop complaining about how much he hates that the guy who shot him. Young girl driving a car gets T-boned on the passenger side by an Altima going at least 70 miles per hour. Her car looks like it was hit by an IED, so we assumed she was deceased upon arrival. Captain Reginald Long says, kind of a retelling, but one time a cadaver on which I was performing an autopsy had a lung which was flipped upside down. When I tried to flip it to the proper position, bloop. It flipped right back to upside down. After some due diligence we realized the lung was a transplant, and the surgeons who performed the transplant had attached the organ incorrectly. The lung had been fighting to be upside down its whole life in this other man. After 15 or so years, the man eventually moved in a way that allowed it to flip over, resulting in his death. Not really a, how the fuck is this person still alive, but more of a, how the fuck did this person live this long with this condition? Roger Sterling's Fling says, working in an Aboriginal community, a woman walked in complaining of a head ACH behind her eye. She was told to take a seat, and as she turned around she had a butter knife sticking out the back of her skull. Apparently a drunk relative came home and stabbed her while she slept. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Comment below if you want us to cover a subject topic.